Tonight, right before you drift off to sleep, you're probably going to do the exact same thing millions of other people do. You're lying in bed, the lights are completely off, and boom, your phone is right there in your hand. You know the drill, right? Checking those notifications one last time, maybe reading just one more text, or watching, just one more quick video. It feels totally normal. It's just what we do. But the truth behind this super common, everyday routine, it's actually way stranger than you might think. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack exactly why you do the things you do, and more importantly, how you can finally take back control.
So why can't you stop scrolling? Honestly, have you ever asked yourself that? Why is it so ridiculously hard to just put the phone down? You tell yourself, okay, just 5 more minutes, and suddenly, poof, an entire hour has vanished. We always treat this like it's some massive personal failure, right? Like we just don't have the discipline or the willpower. But look, I want to completely validate your struggle right here, right now. The answer isn't a lack of willpower, it's actually a really weird, fascinating biological truth about the physical brain sitting inside your skull. It's not a lack of discipline, it's science. See, your brain just wasn't built for this. Think of your brain like a piece of legacy hardware. I mean, it is a brilliant, insanely powerful machine, absolutely, but it's running a prehistoric operating system. Your brain was never, ever designed for a world of glowing screens, concrete cities, rush hour traffic, Amazon Prime, or 24/7 social media. No way. Your brain was built for a world of forests, open grasslands, and tiny groups of humans who were just trying their best to survive the day.
Section 1. Your ancient brain today. Okay, let's dive right into this. To really understand why we behave the way we do, we have to look back at the environment our brains were actually designed for.
Let's take a look at this timeline, and I really want you to absorb these numbers. Imagine waking up 300,000 years ago. No alarm clock, obviously, no electricity, no grocery stores, no hospitals. Food is a total coin toss, and danger is quite literally everywhere. Now, scientists estimate that more than 99% of human existence was spent exactly like this, as hunter-gatherers. Just look at how recently things actually changed. Agriculture? That only popped up about 12,000 years ago. The industrial age was just a few centuries back. And smartphones? Honestly, on an evolutionary scale, they arrived about 5 seconds ago. 99% of your ancestral history was spent running from wild predators, not refreshing a newsfeed. Section 2. The evolutionary mismatch. This right here is exactly where the friction happens. Because while our modern environment changed at lightning speed, evolution works slowly. I mean painfully, incredibly slowly. This brings us to a huge concept: evolutionary mismatch. Basically, your ancient brain is constantly trying to solve modern problems using Stone Age instincts. I really want you to lock this term into your memory, because it completely validates the struggles you face every day. When you feel totally overwhelmed, or you can't focus, or you just cannot resist a certain craving, it's not a character flaw. It's largely a biological glitch. It's a fundamental mismatch between your ancient, hardwired programming and the modern reality you live in. Let's look at exactly how this actually plays out in your day-to-day life. Section 3. Scarcity in an abundant world. Let's start with something we all deal with every single day: food. Specifically, that overpowering urge to eat stuff we know we probably shouldn't.
I mean, have you ever wondered why it's so unbelievably hard to resist a donut, but nobody is ever really craving a bowl of raw broccoli? Well, in the ancient world, calories were extremely precious. Finding sweet fruit or fat was this incredibly rare, lucky event that literally meant the difference between staying alive and starving to death. Because of that, your brain evolved this massive, blaring reward system to just scream, "Eat that right now," the second it spotted sugar. But today, you stroll into a supermarket, which is basically a paradise of absolute abundance. The thing is, your ancient brain doesn't have a clue what a supermarket is. It still firmly believes that calories are scarce. So when it sees a slice of cake or a fast food sign, it completely short-circuits. It acts like this super rare survival opportunity just materialized out of nowhere. You're not weak, guys. Your craving system was just built for a world of starvation.
But it's not just physical cravings that are mismatched. It's our social cravings, too. Let me ask you this. Why does a lack of likes actually hurt? Like, why does it physically ache when a post gets completely ignored, or when someone leaves a nasty comment online? Now, what's really fascinating here is the stakes involved. Picture this: 50,000 years ago, if you got rejected by your tribe, you couldn't just, log off or pack up and move to a new city. Rejection meant you were alone in the wild. It literally meant death. Belonging wasn't just a nice to have, it was a strict survival requirement. And researchers have actually found that social exclusion activates the exact same brain regions as physical pain. So today, when you don't get those likes or a coworker gives you some harsh feedback, logically, yeah, it's pretty minor. But emotionally, your Stone Age brain is slamming the panic button, interpreting that social slight as a literal, deadly threat to your survival.
Section 4, Anxiety as an Alarm System. This actually segues perfectly into our next topic, because most of us tend to view anxiety as a total flaw, right? Like it's this broken part of our minds that we just need to fix or push down.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it totally reframes things. Think back to the ancient world. If you heard a rustle in the bushes and just assumed, oh, it's probably just the wind, well, you might get eaten by a predator. The human who always assumed the absolute worst, the one who was highly anxious and hypervigilant, that's the human who survived long enough to pass on their genes. Your anxiety is an evolutionary feature, it's not a bug. It's literally an alarm system trying its best to protect you. The issue is that today, the predators are approaching deadlines, stacks of bills, unread emails, and stressful job interviews. Your ancient alarm system is just misfiring at modern stressors, reacting with this intense life-or-death energy to a tiny little red notification dot on your inbox icon. Which brings us right back to that smartphone in your hand. How does one single, quick check become a whole hour of mindless scrolling? Well, our ancestors evolved to relentlessly hunt for new information. You know, a new food source, a new hidden threat, a new potential ally, because curiosity kept them alive. Your brain absolutely thrives on the anticipation of novelty. And trust me, modern tech companies know this all too well. They deliberately design their apps to hijack this ancient survival instinct. Every single time you swipe, it's a tiny, unpredictable reward. You're not addicted to your phone because you're weak. You're hooked because your brain is doing the exact thing that kept your ancestors alive.
And we see this mismatch literally everywhere. We evolved to survive through tight cooperation, which makes genuine face-to-face connection a hardwired biological need. Loneliness isn't just a feeling of sadness, it's an ancient warning signal screaming at you to get back to the safety of the group. Plus, ancient humans were constantly on the move to survive, walking, climbing, hunting. But today, we sit locked at our desks for 8 hours straight, which totally contradicts our evolutionary blueprint and heavily impacts our mood. And our attention spans? Oh man, we evolved to constantly scan our environment for threats. Now, a barrage of push notifications, flashy ads, and autoplaying videos overwhelm that exact same scanning system, leaving us feeling utterly distracted and drained.
Section 5, Overcoming the Modern Mismatch. So, what's the verdict? Are we just trapped? Destined to be these anxious, sugar-craving, endlessly scrolling zombies forever? Absolutely not, because simply understanding your ancient brain actually gives you a massive advantage. Let's pivot to the solution and look at some practical strategies. Here is exactly how you can take control using some super practical strategies in your daily routines. Step 1. Recognize the instinct. When you feel that sudden spike of panic over an unread email from your boss, pause for a second and literally say out loud, "This is not a tiger. This is just an alarm." Acknowledge it as an ancient survival reflex, and you'll actually feel the physical panic start to fade. Step 2. Design your environment. Look, relying on pure willpower is an absolute myth when you're going up against millions of years of evolution. You know your brain cannot resist sugar, right? So make sure it never even enters your grocery cart. Out of sight, out of your primitive mind. You know your brain relentlessly scans for novelty, so turn off those push notifications. And if you really can't stop scrolling in bed, do yourself a favor. Buy a cheap $10 alarm clock and leave your phone plugged into a charger in the kitchen overnight. Put physical distance between you and the trigger. You've got to work with your instincts, not against them. Outsmart your environment so you don't have to fight a losing biological battle. And that brings us to step 3. Stop the self-blame.
There is a quote I want you to really take to heart. Many modern challenges are not signs of personal failure. They are signs of evolutionary mismatch. Guys, please give yourselves permission to let go of the guilt. It is downright exhausting trying to navigate a digital, hyperspeed world with a brain that was literally built for the Ice Age. It is perfectly okay to feel overwhelmed sometimes. Your brain is actually doing an incredible job. It's just operating in the wrong era.
And that brings us right back full circle. Tonight, when you inevitably reach for that device in the dark, just remember this. The behavior might feel incredibly modern, but the instinct driving you is ancient. You are no longer a hunter-gatherer just trying to survive out in the wild, so it is time to manually update your operating system. Now that you actually know the glitch, what is the very first modern habit you're going to take back control of tomorrow? Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.